I'm fully unsure where to start with this video. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine in the background, but that's just life. I don't know if you can tell right now that something's off. I feel like it's going to be really, really hard for me to actually film this because although I'm like so raw on the internet with who I am, there is a huge part of me that I don't majorly share. And that part is what I'm going to be speaking about today. I'm not saying that like if you can hear that beeping, by the way, that's Matilda, she's asleep, it's the monitor. I'm not saying that I've never spoke on it. I've definitely never spoke on parts of it, but you know, I have spoke about mental health and eating disorders and stuff like that on my pages before. But this is going to be a little bit more in depth and just kind of explaining exactly what's happened to me over the past week. I just whacked my downstairs on the corner of the table. Oh my god. Ow. I do also need to get ready for today, so I thought that I would just chat to you whilst I get sorted. As much as I don't really want to get ready, and this is what I've looked like for the past week, I need to go and do a food shop because we have literally nothing. And I'm going to see Tate McRae tomorrow, so I'm leaving the kids with Charlie and I need him to have some sort of food in because a man doesn't know how to feed kids if there's not set out meals in the fridge. Anyway, I digress. So firstly, I just want to give a massive trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about mental health, eating disorders, emetophobia, anything in that realm. If you feel like you can't handle that, then please do not watch this video because I know that I find quite a lot of stuff triggering, and if it's not said at the beginning of a video, I tend to spiral a little bit. So, I don't know where to start. And I feel like it's going to sound really, really, really silly, and there's so much worse things going on in the world right now, and I don't want to sound like just tone deaf because that's not me, and that's why I don't really speak on stuff like this because so just try and see the positives, you know, but this situation has just absolutely floored me, so I'm just going to get into it. So this past week, me and my whole family, so I have 2 children, 3 and 9 months, and then me and my partner Charlie, all 4 of us have had what I think has been norovirus. Now, Alfie is prone to sickness bugs. He's just one of those children. He, you know, was breastfed for 2 years. That made absolutely no difference to him. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to really talk when I do this. He has been known to pick up bugs, I'd say, more than the average child. And I know a lot of children are like that. And it's been a struggle. I would say in his lifetime, he's probably had more sickness bugs than I can count on both of my hands. And he's 3 years old, which is crazy because I know some kids his age haven't even had one or have only had a couple. And I just never expected to go through so much of that with him. And it's normal. I expected to have illnesses and stuff with 2 young children. That's life. At the beginning of the week, on Monday, it's now Monday again, so a week ago today, Alfie's dad phoned me and said that he had been sick once. And we had been to see the Wiggles live in Bournemouth that weekend, the weekend before, which I'm assuming is where he picked up norovirus from. So Alfie's dad said that he was sick once, brought him home. Alfie was completely fine. He was eating, he was drinking, there was no other symptoms, and he'd had a bit of a cold like the week before. So I just kind of assumed that it was most probably a symptom of that, where he had a lot of mucus, he was bunged up. I didn't even think about it for 1 second that he could actually be unwell, and I think it's naive, but it's because he was only sick once and he was so fine in himself, and I've dealt with so many bugs with him over the last, like he literally had a bug a month ago, like 3 weeks ago when we moved in. So I thought, like, there's no way that he's got another one already. Surely, like, his immunity would be high, and like, I know how it all works, but you know, it just didn't seem like one. So I did nothing to avoid it. And normally when I am aware that Alfie is sick, I'm paranoid, manic paranoid, and I don't think I ever really put it down to sort of manic paranoia until this past week. So I did nothing to stop it spreading because I didn't think that it was anything. So I just carried on as normal. Lo and behold, 2 days later on Wednesday night, I had eaten my dinner and eaten my like after dinner pudding, whatever, and I started to feel really sick, and I thought, oh, it's obviously just because I've just eaten too much Lindt chocolate from Easter that we still have a mountain of. Without going into too much detail, I was up all night, both ends, and it was awful, absolutely awful. Then the next night, Matilda was sick, and then on the Friday, Charlie came home from work, he was sick, and that is when everything went downhill. I've done a lot of content before on, you know, sickness bugs and when Alfie's had one and what I do to sort of prevent them and stuff like that. And I know it's quite normal to put like preventable measures in place when it comes to your children being sick, because naturally nobody wants to spread it around the house, right? No one wants to be like your whole household to be down. But I think the way that I was doing it was a little bit insane. And I was so unbelievably annoyed at myself for missing those signs with Alfie. Anyway, on the Friday, when Charlie came home from work, and he, you know, we knew that he had got it from the morning because he texted me and said he felt a bit weird, and I was like, that's it, he's got it. Which, if I'm being honest, is my worst nightmare. I remember when I used to live at home with my mum's, and if I thought my brother was being sick, like if my brother was coughing, I would literally text my mum like, is Sam being sick? Is Sam being sick? And my mum would be like, no, he's literally just coughing. And I'd be like, paranoid. More than paranoid that my brother was being sick, because I can't hear it. I just can't hear it. I can't hear it. I can't associate myself with it. And I was always worried about how I would be when it came to my kids being ill. But in fairness, with Alfie being ill and stuff, I think because I just love my kids so much, and I'm not saying that if you can't cope with it, then you don't love your kids, but like, because I just have so much overwhelming love and care for them, why can't I find my bloody eyebrow pencil brush? Sorry, I found it. Because I have so much love and care, that kind of just goes out the window. Obviously, I'm paranoid, I'm worried, I'm nervous, but like, because it's my kids, it's different. And I obviously love Charlie to pieces, but since we've been together, he's never, like, he's caught them, but he's never actually been sick around me, ever. And we've been together for 3.5 years. So it was a new thing for me that I'd never experienced, and I didn't know how I was going to be in that, but I can't lie, I've thought about it so many times. Every single day when I wake up, my brain goes straight to, I wonder when the next person in the household is going to be sick. I wonder when I'm ever going to see Charlie be sick. I wonder when I'm going to be sick. I wonder when Matilda's going to have her first full-blown sickness bug. Like, it is the first thing that goes through my mind every single day. And it's a passing thought. It's a passing thought. It wasn't like I was focused on it all day, every day. It was a passing thought. And then it would intensify every time we went somewhere. Charlie came home, went upstairs to lie down. I told him to isolate himself away. I was absolutely terrified of recatching it. I was also still not 100% myself. I was trying to look after 2 kids, and he was sort of texting me what was going to happen, obviously not knowing that this was going to absolutely send me into a spiral. But he was, saying like, this is how it feels, this is how I feel. I barely even talk about it. Like, it's literally making my whole body just feel like, yeah, anyway. And as a result of that, I think, I don't know, to be honest, I don't really know what happened, but I was just sat on the sofa and he asked me to bring up the washing up bowl. Obviously it's a sick bowl, and I just lost it. I started uncontrollably shaking. I couldn't breathe. I literally just lost it. Phoned my mum straight away and was like, I'm having a panic attack. I think I have emetephobia. Like, it just literally came out of absolute nowhere. Oh, that's my phone gone. I was just spiraling in a way that I've never spiraled before. Probably because I've always been able to protect myself. Like, when I was at home, I was able to protect myself because I didn't really have to speak to my brother, but obviously knowing that Charlie's my partner, I knew that I had to sort of take care of him, which in hindsight sounds so selfish, and it is selfish, but that was my worry. That was my worry, is that I needed to do things for him, and I knew that I needed to go back into the bedroom and see him and take care of him, which is horrible. So I just had a full-blown breakdown panic attack. And something you might not know about me is I've actually suffered with panic attacks my entire life. My first one I had when I was 11 years old. I woke up in the middle of the night not being able to breathe. My parents literally phoned an ambulance thinking that I was dying, and it turned out that I'd just had a panic attack in my sleep, and it was supposedly induced absolutely no reason at all. It was random. And ever since then, I've been in and out of hospital. I used to have issues with my stomach, with acid reflux due to stress, and panic attacks, anxiety. And that's something that I've made known on my channel, is that I've definitely had anxiety throughout my life. I've been in and out of the doctors with it. I've been in and out of, talks of like therapy and in school and just everything. And I know that's very, very normal. But I've got myself into a place recently where I just kind of felt like I wasn't really struggling as much anymore. I had a newfound confidence. And then, out of literally nowhere, this happens. This happened on Friday. It's now Monday, and I am waking up every day with a nervous stomach still. I feel like I can't breathe all the time. It literally took me like 15 minutes. Well, it took me days, but it took me 15 minutes of standing outside my bedroom door to even walk into the bedroom, knowing that that's where Charlie was. I have never ever felt like that, and I just wanted to run away. I just wanted to run away from all of it. I wanted to just literally get up and leave. But you can't do that when you've got 2 kids. I was still unwell myself, and I just lost everything. In the end, I ended up having to go upstairs and basically just put in pieces of tissue in both my ears, just in case I heard him be sick. I left my AirPods in the bedroom, which is where he was, which I just could not physically step into. It took me a very, very long time to even go up the stairs. I was literally bawling my eyes out, putting Matilda to sleep, and she wouldn't sleep, and I was stood there like rocking her, trying to get to sleep, and I was just crying and crying and crying because I couldn't get to sleep and I didn't want to be upstairs. And it was the most harrowing experience of just shaking and shaking. And I just don't, I was gonna say I don't know where it's come from, but I think I do know where it's come from, which I will get into. And I ended up putting her to sleep. I put Alfie to sleep. I had white noise on Matilda's speaker like mum cozy white noise machine, sorry, not speaker. I also had white noise on my phone held up to my ear with tissues in my ear, and I put Alfie to bed. I read him 1 book and put him to bed when normally I'd read him 3, and then made a bed downstairs and slept downstairs. And once I was sort of over the worst of it, I basically had white noise on the TV as well. So I had white noise in 3 different places, and I just had to research a ton about emetophobia, and I had to listen to an emetophobia podcast to go to sleep. I was watching makeup tutorial after makeup tutorial of people just like doing their makeup, because that's something that like really calms me down and makes me feel normal. And it's a very common thing. It's a very common thing, and I just feel so awful even speaking about this in the way that I'm speaking about it, because I just feel like there are so many awful things in life, and I don't want to like self-diagnose myself. Like, no one's told me like you have emetophobia, but I feel like to an extent I must do, or just like extreme anxiety, because I've just never felt like that in my life. I'm kind of building a case in my head as to reasons why I think that I may actually have it. Number 1 being my friend Megan. If you guys follow her, Megan Burns, her girls had a sickness bug a couple of weeks ago, and I was the first one on the chat, literally like telling her exactly what to do, exactly what to buy, exactly what to clean. And then when I was speaking to Megan and Jess about this situation that's just happened to me now, Jess said a couple of weeks ago when Megan was going through it, the first thought that went through her head was like, oh, that's a bit extreme, which I would never have really thought, but looking back on it, I do feel like I can be very extreme with how I clean and what I do to make sure. Obviously, like I said about my brother, I never really thought of it, but it is true. When I was younger, I used to lack like sympathy over anyone in my family who was sick, because I couldn't control my emotions enough. God, that washing machine genuinely sounds like it's going to take off. I couldn't control my emotions, and I was so self-absorbed with the anxiety and worrying about me getting it, or hearing someone be sick, or like something like that, that I couldn't see past that to give my empathy, which is really sad. Really sad. I sent Charlie a huge paragraph the next day, basically just explaining, like I said to him, like, please don't, like, I was like, if you want me to speak about this to you in a couple of days time when you're like better, because I did sympathise with him. I did feel really bad, because I was like, you're literally on your deathbed like I was, and you have to listen to me going on about how much I'm struggling with it. So I did kind of make it clear to him, like, look, you don't have to hear this right now if you want to wait, and I'll talk to you about it when you feel better. But the next morning he was willing to listen to what I had to say. So I ended up just sending him this massive paragraph, basically just explaining exactly how I felt and how I just want to do things to be a better partner, to be able to look after him and to be able to look after the kids without it becoming like a huge problem. And he was obviously more than understanding. He was so good about it, which I knew he was going to be good about it. But it's just horrible when you want to be there for someone so badly, but something like hearing him be sick is a threat to me, which is just wild, and it's just ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous, but like, that's honestly how I felt. So that night, after everything, I kind of came to the conclusion as to what the problem, I mean, I think I've always had it, as I said, like going back to when I lived with my parents and stuff. I think I've always had it, and I've always just never really thought much of it until now. But I feel like the thing that's led to this point of me just having the absolute biggest breakdown of my life over it is probably because Alfie just has them so often. He constantly tells me he feels sick. Every single day, my tummy hurts, I feel sick, even if he doesn't. And I think it's because maybe he just likes the attention that he gets when he's sick. Maybe it's just become such a normal part of his life that he thinks that when he's full up or when he needs the toilet or something, maybe he just thinks like, oh, I'm gonna be sick. Every single time he burps, he says like, I'm sick, I'm gonna be sick. And I feel like over the last 3 years that he's been around, maybe the build up of that has just like induced an anxiety that I can't explain, because I don't know what I'm even trying to say here. I'm speaking about all of this now while it's raw, because I want to get it out of the way, and I don't want to wait until like I'm over it, which I don't know whether I will get over it. I'm in talks with a therapist right now to try and get someone to talk to, and just like someone to maybe help me work through it, maybe even do some sort of, what is it called, like hypnotherapy maybe. But I do think maybe having a child who is prone to them hasn't really helped, because I'm just constantly waiting for the next one, and that's why I'm waking up every day thinking like, when is it going to happen? How can I stop it from happening? I take hand gel absolutely everywhere, and my anxiety goes through the roof when I know that I don't have it. I literally hate going to soft plays. Hate going to soft plays. I am worried the entire time. I clean his hands during every single interval that I possibly can. I'm worried about Matilda's age, because she's in the age where like everything is now going in her mouth, and everything is just a threat. Everything is a threat, and I'm sorry if I keep saying but I'm really struggling to like get my trail of thought here. Basically, I just wanted to do this video as well because I wanted to sort of reach out for some online support. I mean, what better way than to use my platform to help myself get through this, and to help others get through this, and to speak about like potential triggers. And I'm not gonna do like loads and loads of content on it or anything like that. It's more just to help me get over this initial sort of, I think I have it and this is what I'm gonna do about it. Another thing that I've been majorly struggling with is the eating disorder side of all of this. And for me, my eating disorder that I had was much more about control than it was about being skinny. And I feel like it's maybe, that's quite similar in a lot of people's lives that have an eating disorder maybe. But all I cared about was like how much to put in my body to sort of punish myself. And this is again another subject that I don't speak on a massive amount, and that main reason I don't speak on it is because I don't want to trigger people. I don't want to be the reason that people get ideas. I don't want to be like, I would never speak about what I ate around that time. I would never speak about a lot of stuff to do with that period of time, because I don't want to be somebody's reason. I really don't. But I do feel like this has set off a part of me, because I was so out of control this week. This has set off a part of me that's struggling with control, and I just can't eat. I say I can't eat, I can eat, but I can't eat much. I've been on a... Sorry about that was really rude. I'm on a major health journey recently. Since January I did 75 medium and I was so good, nothing triggered me. Like, I was still eating really well, and like I said, I think it's because it was about control. It wasn't about the food, it was about control. But this has sent me so out of control that I just can't, which is another worry, because I don't want to relapse. But I feel like if I don't get this sorted, then that's exactly what's going to happen. I haven't been posting really like properly on social media. I'm usually very active over on like my Instagram stories and stuff. I've literally barely even been on them. And That washing machine, I swear to God, I've just barely been, I've been a shell of myself. I've been a shell of myself the last week. And I'm surprised I'm not sat here bawling my eyes out, because the amount of tears that were shed this last week have been absolutely insane. I'm desperate for answers. I'm desperate for somebody to just come and take everything that's happened this last week away, which I know is not going to happen. But I think I have addressed it now, and I'm not diagnosing myself. I don't know if most people diagnose themselves with emetophobia, or if it's something that they have been diagnosed with. I don't know, but I need to go and seek professional help with this anxious side to me, because I can't live like it anymore. And it's inevitable that something like this is going to happen again, and I need to figure out a plan of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to cope when it does happen, and it will probably happen quite soon, knowing what my child is like with picking things up. I have emailed a couple of therapists to try and get some answers, try and get somebody to talk to, and stop all of this from happening again. I was on sertraline a couple of years ago when I had postpartum depression with Alfie, and that pill took so much stress away and so much anxiety away. But the reason why I wouldn't want to go back on it is because I couldn't really feel happiness either, and I just think there's no point in being on something that doesn't make you feel anything. Like, I don't want to feel sad, but I also want to feel happy. There's no point in taking the happiness away from life. Do you know what I mean? Like therapy, hypnotherapy, something like that. Like, if you guys have any suggestions for me, then please just help a girl out here. I need it more than I've ever needed it. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm open to literally anything. The only problem is that I am breastfeeding, so things like CBT oil, and I think that's what it's called, and whatever, I don't think I can do, because obviously I'm breastfeeding and I don't want to give that up. I really don't. And I know, like, mental health is more important, but I don't think I could. I think that would make my mental state worse, giving that up. I'm really, really hoping that this is the start of a journey that I can really open up to and learn about, and hopefully delve deeper into a side of myself that I've been suppressing for so long, and maybe help some others along the way too. And I'm hoping that this sort of getting up feeling breathless, not feeling like I can really do anything, and like that feeling in my stomach that feels like I'm literally, like, the ground is going to swallow me up. Every single little thing I do, every step I take, I'm just hoping that is like a really bad after effect of how severe my panic attack was, and maybe it will just be the thoughts of the emetophobia that I'll have to tackle afterwards. But right now we are struggling really bad, really bad. I'm sorry this wasn't like the most positive, uplifting, bubbly, happy, funny video like my videos normally are, but I wanted to do it on here because I knew on TikTok that I would just feel so restricted with what I was going to say and how I was going to say it, and I just wanted to feel like I could just talk about it loosely and just waffle. I didn't want, like, I tried to structure this the other day. I was thinking about what I was going to do, and I was like, I just need to, like, write down some points so I don't lose my train of thought. But, you know, it's not going to be the last time I ever speak about it. If there's anything else I want to add, then I will add that. Any suggestions on emetophobia, any suggestions on anxiety and how I can sort of move on from this, I really appreciated. Understand how I'm feeling right now, and hopefully I don't just sound absolutely pathetic and as pathetic as I sound in my head. I know that it's all going to be okay, but I can't shake the fact that I don't feel it. I don't feel okay. I feel like I'm on the edge of a panic attack. Every second that goes by, I'm trying to control the nerves from going from the bottom of my stomach up to my chest. And it's crazy what the brain is actually capable of. And I've kind of forgotten just how severe it can get. But that is all for now. I'm just going to leave it at this. Let you guys give me any sort of comments, tips, anything to help if that is something that you know about or something that you feel that you can help with. Again, I'm sorry that this video hasn't been very positive. I'm sorry that I sound silly, like I feel like I do, but I just feel like I have to be honest on here, and I have to accept help and help you guys guide me through. Sometimes the next video will be a little bit more positive. I will try and keep you updated on this journey, whether I end up, well, I'm gonna have to get a therapist, but how that ends up going. Thank you for watching this video if you watched the whole thing. It was probably very miserable and drony, and I apologise for that. But I love you all so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.